Hello and welcome to the Investing Bros. I am T Shroom, and today we're going to be looking at how you can protect your cryptocurrency. We talk a lot about how you can go ahead and invest and diversify and find some of the best altcoins as well to invest in crypto. But it's all worthless if you have zero security and zero situational awareness, because the reality is that especially if you live in America, there are constantly attacks on cell services, on computers. No matter what you do, there's always going to be a threat of security risk. But there are some steps that you can take to go ahead and fortify your security. So we're going to be talking about that today with Mark K. Mark, how are you doing this morning?
I'm doing excellent. Thanks for having me on, and I love that intro. That was awesome.
Absolutely. Yeah. So Mark, how do you pronounce your last name? I didn't want to try to pronounce it and butcher it.
Yeah, it's Kreitzman,
Kreitzman.
as in
I love
Kreitz.
it.
Right. Yeah.
Awesome. Super cool. Well, I wanted to start off by chatting a little bit about how you got started in cell phone plans. A lot of people don't even think about that as a career path, but obviously, this is where you find yourself. So, just a little bit more background. Today, we're talking with Mark Kreitzman, you are the CEO of Efani. Efani, we've been talking about it for a little while here. You can see this is what we use here on Efani, America's most secure mobile service. So tell me a little bit about, Mark, how you got into mobile plans here in the United States.
Yeah, so it goes way back. I got involved into cybersecurity in around 2002 and jumped into the startup sort of Silicon Valley type companies. And a couple of those, I helped founders build them up, and one got sold to Microsoft, another one got sold to Cisco Systems, and then I happened to be in between projects, and I'd been working on crypto businesses for about 2 years at this point,
Mm-hmm.
trying to look for like, what it is I want to do next, and I happened to be in the middle of the desert in Arizona, and I got SIM swapped.
Oh,
So
wow.
I got my mobile stolen away in 2018. So at the time, I was working with a friend of mine. We were developing mobile apps that had to do with crypto, and so here I got SIM swapped. And through that SIM swap, they while I was driving to my parents' house, knowing that I got SIM swapped, they took down my business website. They got into a crypto account, a bank account, an email account,
Man.
a cloud account, and then a second cloud account that didn't have anything in it. But it was pretty painful. And what they did is they swapped my number out, did what they needed to do for 61 minutes, and then swapped it back.
Hmm.
And so it was a very, very painful experience for about 90 days. And I spent, a couple months literally, like if I woke up at 3 a.m., I'm looking at my phone, like, do I have LTE? Is it still there? If I wake up at 5, wake up at 7. And I searched out, I was so painful. I was like, somebody had to solve this. And so I found the only person on the planet that claimed that he had solved it, and connected with him. Turns out that he was in the Bitcoin space, and he was working on building this large Bitcoin ATM network with a couple friends. So we kind of hit it off, and that was when I made the career change of, there's so much pain in this. This has to be happening to other people,
Yeah.
because here I was with 19 years of cybersecurity experience, and I had everything locked down so tight on my account, and all it took was somebody, minimum wage employee, to lie to the computer. And um, the first thing we did was change the name to Efani, and that's how 4.5 years later now, and that's how I got into it. Is just total by chance. I got hacked, and then trying to make a business out of it.
Gotcha. Well, if you're just joining us, we're speaking live with Mark Kreitzman, who's the CEO of Efani. We have a link in the description down below where you guys can go ahead and access this awesome service to help you prevent any kind of SIM swap attack that could come your way. We're speaking with Mark, and he's just described how he was actually SIM swapped. He was out in the desert, and it happened to him. I'd like to drill in here and ask a question. So, you mentioned a minimum wage worker that lied to a computer. I think a lot of people are unfamiliar with SIM swaps, but that, what you just described, a minimum wage worker lying to the computer, is literally how it happens. So could you paint a little bit more of a vivid picture of how that SIM swap occurs? What are some of the common motivations for a minimum wage worker to do such a thing? And, of course, how it ties back into how Efani can prevent that from happening.
Okay. Yeah. And then just to clarify one thing. So actually, my partner is actually the CEO. So
Okay.
I'm second. I'm second at Efani.
Awesome.
But a SIM swap it's very simple. Like if you have an iPhone 12 today and you go to the store tomorrow and you buy an iPhone 15, you're obviously going to move your mobile service from the 12 over to the 15. And what that is called a port out or a SIM swap. That's a legal SIM swap because you're there and you're authenticating this. What a nefarious SIM swap, a SIM swap attack is, it's the same thing except they're moving it from your phone to their phone, to the hacker's phone. And that hacker could be living underneath you in an apartment. That could be next door. That could be 4,000 miles away. It's sort of irrelevant. All they're doing is simply getting your mobile account moved from the SIM card or eSIM in your phone over to the SIM or the eSIM that's in the hacker's phone. And they use a couple different methods. So one is they'll impersonate you. So let's say I learn everything about you, your history. I use AI search tools. I know everything. I may have even texted you a couple times to get you to click on something so it can grab information off your phone to make this super easy for me. So I call up and I say, I'm Taylor and I just lost my phone and I got to catch a flight 2 hours and I got this other phone and I'm going to convince them that I'm you and they're going to move that. Another popular method would be that you bribe somebody. So the people, when you call the 800 number, you're giving them your authentication information. And so if they're collecting that on the side and have a big list of this, they can sell that to on the dark web or SIM swap, friends of theirs. One popular method, which is kind of like a faster growing method, just to kind of warn everybody, is and it's sort of a two-step SIM swap, and that is the first step could be is that I impersonate you at a store and I buy a phone and a line off your account. And the thing is there's no penalty if they say like, oh, you're not who you say you are. You'd be like, oh, well, I'll come back tomorrow when I have like there's no penalty for attempting to do this, right? But if they're successful and I get a phone and a line off your account, I'm going to go home and then either that day or the next day, I'm going to call your carrier and say, hey, I bought a phone at your store yesterday. I got a new line. I want to switch lines. Now I'm calling the carrier under your account because I've added the number. And because I bought the phone, because I bought the line, obviously I can add things to like verify. So now it's super easy for me to verify. And so these are the kind of tricks that's happening out there. And
Gotcha.
So it's the human nature in the middle that you have to be worried about. It's just, humans getting tricked, social engineered, getting bribed, or they're the hacker themselves.
Yeah. Gotcha. Well, if I'm listening, if I'm tuning in live and I'm hearing this, I may be hearing about SIM swaps for the first time. I may be hearing that I thought that if I have Verizon, if I have AT&T, T-Mobile, that I'm safe. That, I realize that someone could grab my phone and try to hack into it. Someone could potentially plug a computer into the USB port or the Lightning port if I have an iPhone. But I wasn't aware that something could go wrong between my phone and my carrier. So that is what I think a lot of people don't realize. And listen, here at the Investing Bros, we don't try to make people fear, right? We're not trying to inspire fear in anyone. We have partnered with Efani because we believe that you all have a solution to a problem that is affecting folks disproportionately in crypto, right? When you are in crypto, you've searched, you've searched things on, and hopefully you've done it on like a private browser to some extent, right? But the internet knows that you are interested in your devices, your IP addresses are interested in the topic of crypto. Nothing wrong with that at all, but you do start to make yourself a target, and the more data that's out there about you, folks can identify you as a target, right? And SIM swapping may be a method that they employ to try to take advantage of you and
There's kind
ultimately
of two
take your crypto.
there's like two myths where people think that they're protected. So one is that there's this thing what's called the SIM pin lock, and some people think, well, I can't be SIM swapped because I turned the SIM pin lock on. But the SIM pin lock only locks that physical SIM to your phone. So if you were to lose your phone or it gets physically stolen away and somebody in a hacker or whoever the thief is pulls out that SIM card, it does protect you in the sense that that SIM will go dormant. But a SIM swap attack is totally irrelevant in that case because the SIM swapper is getting the network to point your mobile account completely away from your phone. And in fact, you could go out and buy the most secure phone on the planet, spend a lot of money on it. You could get the best operating system, secure apps, a VPN, an antivirus, and keep that phone in a Faraday bag and keep that Faraday bag in a waterproof safe, drop that in a lake. And the SIM swapper still doesn't care because all that investment that you've made on your device, again, is taken completely out of the equation because, again, it's like T-Mobile's network or AT&T or Verizon. Their network itself is pointing now to I'm the hacker, it's pointing now to my phone, and everything you put on that phone is irrelevant. And
Gotcha. So again, investing bros, we're not trying to motivate anybody using the fear, right? Fear is really, it may be an emotion you're having at this point, as being exposed to this information, being educated on the potential here for a SIM swap to happen to you, right? But we're not trying to inspire fear in anyone. What we're trying to do is say, here, this is an existing problem. This is someone who we know who it happened to, Mark, right? And Mark has taken it upon himself to be a leader in a company that is providing solutions. And that's where Efani comes in. So tell us a little bit about how Efani's different and how Efani, at the end of the day, is one of the best solutions out there for preventing SIM swaps and security in general.
Yeah, I mean, I've been in cybersecurity now for 23 years and about 8 years in mobile, and I would say that we're probably the only solution, that at least the only one that I'm aware of. But what Efani does, it's very, very simple what we do. So we're set up as a reseller of AT&T and Verizon, and so our customers get the choice of either network. Now, when you move your service to Efani becomes your mobile service provider. You no longer pay AT&T or Verizon or T-Mobile or Mint Mobile. You now pay us, and when we port your number over, we're basically locking that account down, and everything we do from that point on is manual. So people will say, you've got great tech, love your technology, and the way I look at it is actually the opposite. We've actually stripped out all the tech, and that's how we're being secure. And the industry is kind of scary in the sense, like we're a certified reseller, which means we have portal access in to grab numbers from any carrier if we have enough information. And so having that manual effort once you're locked down is very key. The other thing we do is we remove your information from the carrier. So if you're using the AT&T network through Efani, AT&T doesn't know who you are. They don't have your information, your payment information, your address, and things like that. And so there's some privacy there. And we don't really, or at least we weren't pushing this part of it as part of being like, hey, we're a privacy solution. But now that there's been a number of these mobile carriers that have been hacked, and AT&T people can Google this. AT&T just announced that they lost 71 million records. And, if you look at that, it looks like there's 71 million people whose like email, possibly passcodes, hopefully not the passcodes, but their mobile number, their email, their social security number, and that's now floating out there. And I'm sure AT&T is going to get some, probably $500 million, penalty on that because T-Mobile got a $500 million penalty. And so if you're an Efani customer using AT&T, AT&T doesn't have your info. So you can't breach what doesn't exist. And so that is becoming very, very important. Now, the other thing that's important about what we do is we've got it locked down to the point where if you were using AT&T through Efani and you went into an AT&T store, you could hand them your phone, your driver's license, your passport, and anything else they want to know, and just ask them something simple like, how much data have I used? And they're going to try and help you. But they're going to, after a minute or two, they're going to say, we can't access your account. There must be somebody else you can call. And that's what we want. And what Efani's done is we've eliminated all the humans in the middle. So call centers can't access it. the stores, the third-party stores, independent retailers that, it's an AT&T sign on the front, but it's actually a independent store, and they vet their own employees, and they're all locked out of it. And that's all by design. So we become your 7x24 support. And then we have a $5 million insurance policy that we're protecting. And that's kind of like one of the probably the most major difference of our incentives behind protecting our customers is we never want that insurance policy to ever be used. And so when somebody calls in and says, I'm moving from one phone to another, that's going to be a level of security that we're going to go that's going to be much, much deeper than the carriers. And if somebody says, I want to port out, then they're going to go, then it's going to be the full on process that is 11 plus layers of verification to make sure that we never give somebody's mobile number away. And the difference on the other side, because I've been asked by multiple attorneys to be the expert witness to support their victims that they're suing on their behalf, is that the carriers have done the math. If you get SIM swapped, and let's say you lose 10 grand, 100 grand, or 500,000, and you want to sue the carrier, what you're going to find out is you're forced through arbitration. And so if you lost 100,000, you're going to be lucky that you'll get 30,000 back, maybe 40, and you're going to have to pay your attorney out of that. And so what the industry has done, they've done the math, and they've determined that the risk of a SIM swap and the fact that they're going to be paying out 30 or 40% on losses is much cheaper than for them to hire thousands of people to do verifications. And as opposed to us, where half our focus of our company is protecting that insurance policy.
Gotcha. So the insurance policy, in theory, if something were to happen, goes to the victim?
So let's say you got SIM swapped. If your Efani mobile number got SIM swapped and that resulted in, say, $50,000 in losses, and you had to pay an attorney to deal with it, and you had some travel that got affected, and let's say it's ends up being $60,000, $70,000, that insurance policy covers those kind of expenses.
Gotcha. So it's not the full $5 million, right? But you're going to be made whole.
It's based on what you've lost.
Gotcha.
It's based on the hard and the soft costs associated with that loss. So
right.
So yes, if you lost $5 million, then the full insurance policy would go into effect.
Absolutely. We had a question here from Kristen Torres. Kristen Torres said, "What happens? That happens only to iPhone or Android too?"
It happens to all of them. We've got 4 partnerships with security phones, and 3 of them are these de-Googled phones. If you ever heard of these, this is like modified Android, where they've stripped out all of the Google apps and all the Google data collection points, and that also eliminates these hacker points for entry as well. So even though these phones are super secure, they call us up and they'll talk to me, and they all say the same thing, which is, we've got the most secure phone on the planet until somebody puts a cellular SIM in it. And so the SIM swap attack is irrelevant to the hardware and the operating system and whatever you have on that device. It literally is just getting the carrier to point their network to a different place.
Gotcha. Well, I think that it makes a lot of sense to me. And right now we have a link in the description of this very video that you guys can go check it out. See, you can see Mark, you can see myself. You just scroll down. You can see a lot of our other partners that we work and trust. But you can see Efani here, and the promo code BROZ is what you'll type in if you're prompted for that. But it'll look a little bit something like this. Is what the link will send you through to America's most secure mobile service, Efani. And we've obviously been speaking here with Mark, who's a leader over there at Efani. And Mark, I think you've done an excellent job of explaining some of the risks that exist for folks who have mobile plans, which is everyone, I think, at this point. Everyone above the age of 10 years old. Sometimes people have phone plans as young as that. And then you've also, I think, articulated really well kind of the solution that you all have built over at Efani, and this is why we partnered with you all here at the Investing Bros.
Yeah, and then just to clarify, just so when people go to your link, and select that little button there that says get the Efani Safe Plan. It's going to ask you for you want to do monthly or annual.
Mm-hmm.
And then when you go to the checkout page, the promo code will actually be auto applied. So they don't
Okay.
even have to type anything in. You just go to that link. And then also just to make sure that if you don't go through this link and you go to Efani.com, there is no discount.
Okay.
And so we like supporting channels that are doing education about crypto and making crypto successful and helping people secure. So happy to offer that to your community. But yeah, you won't even have to type anything in. It will be auto applied at the checkout.
Absolutely. Well, there it is, SIM swaps. I think a few people will be doing some more research on SIM swaps, maybe circling back to the channel and thinking about, maybe this, if Efani is right for them. I know you shared, Mark, that you all have had a lot of people make the switch from, Verizon or AT&T or T-Mobile or one of the other service providers, Mint Mobile. How many folks are on board with Efani at this point, and breathing easier, sleeping better at night? How many people are in the Efani castle?
Yeah, great question. So as a private company, there's certain things we want to keep private,
Sure.
but I would say here's the way I answer this is when people ask is that we have somewhere around 12 or 13 or 1400 accounts. We have many accounts are just a single account, but some are 5, some are 10. We've got one as big as 45. And we're starting to add family offices. We're starting to add C-suites. And our growth is
Mm,
massive. So
gotcha.
last year we were averaging around 6.5% growth per month. And this year we're looking at around 12.5%. And this month in particular, over the last 3 or 4 weeks, we're probably going to hit 15%. So
Wow.
we're in this sort of lucky position. Like myself and the CEO, we got SIM swapped a total of 5 times before. We were like, hey, we're going to do this. So it's sort of ironic to say we're in a lucky position, but
Yeah.
lucky in the sense that that when people become victims, they tweet about it, or
Hmm.
they go on Telegram, or if you Google like Coinbase SIM swap attack, you'll see all these Coinbase forum posts on there about people that have been hit. And so it's just quiet. It's just sort of like this one of these quiet things until some huge name gets hit. They go on Twitter and of course it explodes, and then that explodes our business. But
Gotcha.
yeah, we'd prefer to get people before they get SIM swapped, and then just to if you look like on Twitter at who's our customer, like we're a privacy company as well, but we've got 10 of the top probably 25 names in crypto, and if you think of any crypto name that's a major business, a major player in the crypto space in the U.S., we have scattered C-suite individuals throughout all of those, and some of them allowed us to put their name on our website as well. So we're protecting some of the biggest names in crypto. We've got customers that own their own jets, Hollywood professional athletes, and I get to have some interesting video calls with people that I've looked up to and watched play basketball, or some major founder of a crypto token or something. And I get to talk to a lot of interesting people.
Yeah. Yeah, I see this here now. So if you click on the link and you see you go to the page here where it's the partnership with Investing Bros, you can scroll down a little bit and you can see that protecting executives from Chase, the NBA, Stanford University, IBM. It's at the Department of Justice, DOJ. Wow. So definitely doing a lot of very, very serious high accounts there. Folks, if this is something that's sounding good to you, again, don't just act out of fear, act out of wisdom and prevention, right? That's really why we're here. We don't want you to make a decision that you're going to, change and regret. Make a decision. Think about this. You don't have to make the decision today, right? But these are real threats. The SIM swap world is vicious, and I believe it's growing as well, right? But if this does seem to be a solution that is going to be good for you, then think about it. Talk to your loved ones. Talk to your spouse, whoever you want to consult, and then go ahead and click the link in our description, and that's going to take you to where you can go ahead and set it up and you will get that discount through the Investing Bros, which the discount is, I believe it's the first month is free, correct?
The second month. It's $99. The
Gotcha.
second month is free. And then you can also save almost 2 months of billing if you do the annual option, and then it'll just take the $99 right off the top of the annual.
Excellent. All right. Well, thank you so much, Mark, for joining us. Any tips in crypto? Do you keep track of crypto, or do you pretty much keep your nose down in the security world?
So I've bought and hold.
Okay.
I've probably traded less than $10,000 worth just playing around on margin trading and
Sure.
leverage trading, and everything else is I have not changed my portfolio in 3 or 4 years, and I would say I'm more of a Bitcoin person, but I play around with Doge and
Nice.
Shiba and a couple ICPs, kind of like the latest. That's probably the last one that I've ended up buying a little bit of. So
Okay. Picked up a little ICP. Very nice. Very nice.
yeah,
Cool.
yeah.
Well, thank you so much, Mark, for joining us. We're going to go ahead and jump into some technical analysis, a little bit of news before we wrap up the show. But again, everybody, thank Mark for coming on in the chat, and yeah, absolutely. So, Mark, thank you so much. We'll have you on again at some point, probably before the summer's over, just to chat a little bit more with the bros about security and how things are going at Efani, and we'll be looking forward to that.
Awesome. Can give lots of security tips. So make some money trading. Good luck, guys.
All right. Thank you, Mark. Very cool. All right. Well, bros, you may have seen in the chat that Bitcoin was making a move back higher. Let's go ahead and check on that. Thank you, everybody who was not interested at all in what we were talking about, for hanging with us here at the Investing Bros. I certainly am interested in Efani and help making sure that our community is safe. But if you weren't, I do appreciate you for bearing with us. Let's go ahead and take a look here at the Bitcoin charts. I'm on the 4-hour, and as you can see, Bitcoin did make a run here in the current candle up to the midline of the Bollinger Band, trying to get back up above 61.7, but has retraced since then. The candle did get up above a multi-month level here, which is that 61.3, so that's nice to see. However, we are just barely up above this downtrending line of support here, just above 60,006. And so if you continue to, if you expand this line out, we are just barely staying on top of that. And if you expand this line out, which I was hoping to never have to use these lines ever again, but here we are. If you expand this one out as well, we are currently just below that. And that is actually the level it looks like we're fighting for right now to get back up above this downtrending line of what is now resistance. So I would not say that this is looking very bullish, bros. It was nice to see this little pop here to the upside, but it's the weekend. Sometimes on the weekend, during this bull run that we've been on, this bull rally, the weekend has actually been pretty bullish during all this period. But now that the market, is kind of in a reconsolidation phase, the weekend is more than likely going to work against us, as there's, just by definition, just less volume being moved for Bitcoin. So from a trading perspective. So overall here, I'm not feeling, overwhelmingly bullish at all in the short term. Let me make it clear, because some of you may be tuning in and be like, you're listening to what I'm saying. You're just like, oh, should I sell all my crypto then? T-Shroom's not bullish. I'm bullish in the long term, right? Because when I zoom out, I see a chart that is extremely bullish, right? But in the short term, looking at the daily, looking at the 4-hour chart, I am not seeing something that I want to deploy right now, right? Because of how exposed I already am to Bitcoin, right? If you don't have any exposure, if you've never bought Bitcoin and you've never bought, some of the top 100 altcoins, now is actually not a bad time to buy, right? Because it's lower. Prices are lower, not financial advice. But if I zoom out, this is the chart that I see here on the weekly. And this is not a chart to ignore, right? We've just come in, and after a prolonged period of price coming into a bear market and staying in a bear market for multiple months, we have had a precipitous climb all the way up to a very high level, right? Putting in a new all-time high right here at 73,009, getting very close to 74,000. Now, what is happening now? Why, T-Shroom, are you saying that things are bullish? Well, because there wasn't enough pullbacks in this swing higher, and Tim and I were warning all the bros, keep keep an eye on these pullbacks. There's going to be one to come. And finally, we've gotten one here, and it was a 23% pullback. Historically in Bitcoin, during this phase of the market, the bull phase, we can get pullbacks as much as 30 or even 40%, right? So while this is a painful pullback for folks who are only now getting into crypto and bought above 72, right? That's painful to watch your holdings come down by more than 15%, right? But this is not that bad for crypto, right? 23% to the downside, wick to wick, coming down, really testing the midline of the Bollinger Band here on the weekly chart, right? Overall, why am I bullish in the long term? Because this is just a cool down from this very intense move higher. What percentage did we go from the base of this bear market to the top of the new all-time high? 377%. In less than 12 months. I want to say less than 6 months. It might be right at 6 months, though. 377% is an insane amount of gains to have in that short amount of time, right? You're not going to find that in the S&P. You're not going to find that in any global index. You may find that in pharmaceutical companies. You may find that in, new tech companies that are coming about, right? And you get in super early. But this is Bitcoin. You're not getting in super early. You're getting in early relative to 80% of the global population that will eventually own Bitcoin, in my opinion. But you are not early because people got in back in May 7, 2017, and they bought at $1,000, right? So buying now is still early in a global context, but it is not early. There's been a lot of very smart people who have bought and held Bitcoin, like Mark, who we just had on from Efani. He's a buy and holder guy. You heard him say that. He's picked up some ICP. He's got faith in some other, maybe not faith isn't the right word. He's got some conviction in some other projects, but he's bought Bitcoin, and he's among groups of investors who will continue to buy Bitcoin on the pullbacks. And right now, bros, we are on one of those pullbacks. You buy pullbacks when you can. You sell highs. You buy low, you sell high. In the case of Bitcoin, you can do whatever you want as an investor, as a trader. I tend to not sell the highs. I tend to buy Bitcoin and just not sell it at all, right? And on the side, trade altcoins, which we talk about here on the Investing Bros quite a bit. Not going to get into that too much today. So drilling in, because you might be like, no, T-Shroom, it seems like you're contradicting yourself. At the top of 11:30, you said, don't buy right now because we could go lower, but now you're saying buy, right? Well, there's a difference. Why am I saying, why does it seem like I'm contradicting myself? Because I'm not. On the 4-hour chart, well, let's start on the weekly chart where I am now, right? On the weekly chart, we've just had a pullback of 23%, right? If you have never bought Bitcoin, now is a better time to buy than when we were up here at the highs, right? You buy low, you eventually sell high. Right now, though, if we go down to the 4-hour chart, there is a good chance that you will be able to squeeze the lemon of the first part of that much harder. You will be able to buy low, sell high. You'll be able to buy lower, right? So that you can sell higher. It's just as simple as that. But that's kind of what I'm looking at here. Let's look at the Lux Algo oscillator matrix here, and you can see that we are looking at a potentially higher low here on the oscillators. But I will say that money flow is negative, and that is discouraging to investors who are taking a look here. Did get a green reversal dot. Did that just pop in? I think it might have, but that's a little bit bullish. Looking at the MACD here, you can see that the red histograms are going ahead and rounding off, which could be a sign of the bearishness kind of slowing down. And you are seeing the MACD line starting to curl back bullish here. So that, you are starting to see the momentum show some bullishness. However, the candlesticks, I think, kind of are the tell here, which is that the wick has gone up, but it has not necessarily closed up above this 61.3 line. If we can get back up above 61.3 and close a 4-hour candle, heck, let's go down to the 1 hour. Because this is what would make me bullish in the short term. And what do I mean by bullish? Let's zoom out before I talk about this. By bullish, what I mean is that we start to penetrate back up above and start to print candles above key levels of what are now resistance, right? But that were support. And now what we're trying to do with price is flip back into support, right? So right here, we're going to face some resistance, right? Because this was a trade channel with consolidation. I'm down on the 1 hour chart with consolidation. What I really want is to see Bitcoin get back up above in here and print. It doesn't need to immediately go higher, right? What I want to see is it just to get back up here and print, and for the rest of the weekend, just trade right and back into this channel, right? Right between 62 and 63. That would make me bullish for the week we're heading into. However, if we can, and the first step to that would be getting back up above this level. This is a multi-month level of 61.3. If we can get back up above that level, right, that's the shortest term level that I see that we really need to get back up above. But then, right, it would be very quickly we would need to see a continued bullish movement, new bulls, new buyers coming into the market saying, okay, we closed above 61.3. Now I'm going to buy because I don't think we're going lower from here. I think we're going higher. And then that would push price. You've seen how quickly price moved in this level here. Price moves very, very quickly. You would likely see buyers come on in, rush in, and push that price back up above here. And then that's the launching pad for a move higher. All right, so that's a little bit of what I mean by bullish. But here's the issue, is that we haven't closed above 61.3, right? We've wicked through 61.3. The bulls right now are making a stronger argument to the market saying, hey, we want to push higher. We've got a higher low, right? We've got a higher low. We even got a higher high, right, in this bit of trading range. But that doesn't mean that we're going to go higher. It's, you could say that it's the bears are sitting by, not flipping into bulls, saying, yeah, not so fast. Let's see a close above 61.3, and then maybe we'll talk. Maybe we'll look at a buy order for Bitcoin. So hopefully that makes sense for you. Let's zoom back out to the daily chart, and I want to show you guys one more thing. I always like to look at the midline of the Bollinger Band here. So that was zoomed into the 1 hour. What is 1 hour? What do I mean by 1 hour? What do I mean by daily? What do I mean by weekly? Each one of these candlesticks, the green, the red, the green, the red, that has these wicks that come up and down, right? Those are candlesticks, and those are summaries of 24 hours of trading data if you're on the daily chart. If you go down to the 1 hour chart, it's a summary of 60 minutes of trading data, right? Each candlestick. When it's a green candlestick, the open is at the bottom of the candlestick. So the opening price of that hour is going to be at the bottom of the green candlestick, which the opening of the current candlestick hour that we're in is 60,800, right? And as you're seeing, Bitcoin is climbing to where if we were to close right now, the close of the green candle would be 61,159. As some of you more experienced traders, investors are rolling your eyes, T-Shroom, this is like trading, investing 101. Well, guess what? Here at the Investing Bros, we strive to bring value to not just the experienced traders and investors with these key levels to watch, but also to the noobs, right? You were once a noob. Give us a little grace. Give the noobs a little bit of room to grow. After all, they may end up being your exit liquidity one day. That was a cruel joke. I should not have made that joke. But here we go. Taking a look here at the candlestick for the 1 hour, right? This is 1 hour, 30 minutes of trading data. So going back out to the daily, that was just a little pit stop, a little tangent that had kind of a cruel joke. T-Shroom, what have you been eating that's making you so cruel? Did you not get enough sleep? No, I had plenty of sleep, and I have been eating very well. I don't know what's gotten into me. But here's what I want to check before we get into the news. This is the midline of the Bollinger Band here. And this is, I have an affinity for the midline, right? That 20-day moving average really gets me out of bed. Right here, you can see this midline of the Bollinger Band, that 20-day moving average. It has been pretty well respected, I'd say. And one thing I was taking a look at this morning and noticing on the charts is take a look in contrast to what we did back here. Let me kill the fib because the fib may be distracting some folks. And that is the last thing. That is the last thing on earth that I want, is for people to be distracted. Look how much time we spent above the midline of the Bollinger Band here. All through this trading, there was not even a wick. There wasn't a wick even down below the midline of the Bollinger Band. Zero price action down below this midline. And OC from Piper Academy, he's the one who kind of gave me the eyes for looking at charts like this. When you don't spend any time below the midline, or in OC's case, he likes to look at the time spent below the MACD, below the 50 line of or the 0 line of the MACD. See how it's not only just the histograms to pay attention to, it's also the amount of time that you don't spend on the other side, right? That when you do start to break bullish in this case, for this bit of trading data, it can be explosive, and it can be the beginning of something new and something fresh and a big move higher. But what we've seen is that there started to be a transition after this bull market, after this big bull rally, not bull market, but big bull rally. The bull market is the grander context of what we're trading in. You see a transition to a period where the market said, oh, we're really not sure if we're on the top or the bottom of the midline of the Bollinger Band. We don't really know, right? The market is not in agreement of what direction we're going to go. Is Bitcoin going to go higher, as it did back here when the market was not in agreement? See right here, the market came into consolidation and started to agree, ooh, Bitcoin actually was worth about $52,000. But where do we go from here? The market very quickly, and without dropping down below the midline of the Bollinger Band, said, yeah, we're going up. This is not adequately priced at 52. We need to go higher than this. We're buying this. The rest of the market are schmucks. Bulls are idiots. We're going to prove them wrong, and they did, right? But here, it's not so clear. As you can see, the midline of the Bollinger Band has been important. Goodness gracious. But it's been important in a way that wasn't necessarily obvious. And it becomes obvious when you start to see just how much time we've spent above the midline of the Bollinger Band. Not much, right? So that's why I keep my eyes here, especially on the 1 day, on the midline of the Bollinger Band. And we are continuing to not spend that much time in this zone that was 100% inhabited back here on this bull rally. So hopefully that makes sense for a decent amount of folks that are watching, that are listening. It's a unique insight. It's a new way maybe to look at the charts that you haven't looked at before. But right here in this bit, right before we went into a period where price did not really explore the upper area above the midline of the Bollinger Band, right? Bitcoin spent a lot of time above and below trying to figure out, are we going higher from here? How does that feel? How does the market take that move higher? Oh, not very good. We got chopped down at this level here, 61.3, right? Okay, well, let's see how low we can go then. Maybe the market wants to go low. Oh, nope, we found pretty good support here at 74.5, right? At this level here that goes back. It's a multi-month level of support, right? Okay, well, let's go higher then. Maybe the market wants to go higher, right? Oh, yeah, we did go higher. We got a wick higher and candlestick closes higher. Right? And then this is where a manipulator might think, okay, the market thinks it's going higher here, got higher highs, lower highs, and then they go ahead and sell. They sell, take some profit, and then from there, that discourages the market, which then starts to say, okay, well then I guess I'm not sure if this was manipulation, if their market doesn't want to go higher, but now we're gonna go test lower. And did it test lower, coming in, printing lower candlesticks than back here, April 20th. And then also not making a very good effort in the resumption to the upside, right? Putting in a lower high, right? A lot of work for the noobs today, bros. That is going to be your TA for Bitcoin. I felt as though I told the story, and maybe it's because of these glasses are making me more sophisticated, but I do like to tell the story here of Bitcoin. We're not going too far from the charts. This is the Bitcoin Rainbow Price Chart Indicator, and take a look at this. This is kind of a cool chart. Now, a lot of people, they look at this and they're like, ooh, T-Shroom, this has been invalidated. Everybody hates the rainbow chart. Yes, I wouldn't say it's the most accurate chart out there, but it's cool and it's colorful. And for the noobs watching, we're going to take a moment. We're going to observe. So in the blue section, it is titled the fire sale section, right? This is where it's a fire sale, not meaning that you should sell. It means that it's on sale, right? The price is so low. How could you walk away? It's an offer you shouldn't and couldn't refuse. And then on the other side of that is the red, maximum bubble territory, right? Right up here, if you're buying, you're kind of a schmuck. You're buying the top. And by a schmuck, I mean me. I bought the top in 2021, and it took a lot of discipline of DCing to get back to a $28,000 Bitcoin entry price on average. unpack that statement for you in another episode, but just know that you don't want to buy when it's red. You want to buy when it's blue. And if you're on a strict DCA strategy, right, you buy regardless, right? But you do ultimately, that's why you're watching a live stream that we try to time as much as we can, as best as we can, the tops and the bottoms. Oh, did my mouse just die? Uh-oh. It looks like we might be looking at the rainbow chart a little longer than we thought we were going to be. All right, let me see if I can get my mouse to come back to life here. Come on. Well, this is unfortunate. This has never happened to me. Sorry, bros. I hope nothing else, none of the other Bluetooth stuff messed up. Let's see here. Okay, bear with me. There we go. Oh, no, that's just the... well, this is embarrassing. Heavy cringe. Mouse off. Okay, it's at least connecting to the mouse again. Okay. This is annoying. This is what I get for calling myself sophisticated. Okay, I don't know what's going on here. This is annoying. Work, mouse. I may have to run into the other room and grab my other mouse. Oh, this is frustrating. This has happened before, but it happened while I was not live. And now that I'm live, this is no bueno. Right? This is no bueno, as they say, south of the border. And north of the border too. There's a lot of buenos and no buenos getting dropped left and right. Wired over wireless all day. There we go. We got the mouse working again. We can take a bit of a dive back into the rainbow chart indicator. All right. Goodness gracious. I got to check what the battery life is on this thing and figure out. Okay, well, let's get into the news. The long and short of the rainbow chart here is going to go much more in depth, but we're making our way higher. And as you can see, these dotted lines, these vertical dotted lines, they are the halving, right? And we're historically, after the halving, right, you see a lot of sideways movement, and then you do start to see a push higher. And this is the point where it's like, oh man, I've got to wait longer. It seems like you do, right? It seems like we're going to be sticking to the historical norms of a lot of sideways movement before we start to get into these higher levels. The green that turns into the yellow, and then it turns into the orange, and eventually the red, right? In the last bull market, we didn't get as high as the previous bull market according to the rainbow chart specifically. So now we're sitting at a point where it's very likely that we'll continue to move slightly higher and up and to the right. But this is a time where bears can creep in and take advantage of weary bulls, right? Weary bulls who are becoming discouraged and are not able to hold on. And they realize that their diamond hands maybe weren't so strong as they thought. Bulls, bears, bros, do not be like these bears. And definitely don't be like these bulls that let go of their crypto. Let's get into some of the charts here. Let's get into some of the news. I'm a little rattled, I will admit. And while we talked about Efani at length today, the news is going to be brought to you by iTrustCapital. It's who we trust for our crypto IRA and Roth IRA. Let's go ahead and jump on into U.S. House McHenry says bill on crypto market structure will get floor vote. This is pretty important if it goes through. I just don't see it getting past Biden's office, and I honestly don't see it getting past the Senate either. But his panel last year had cleared the Financial Innovation and Technology for 21st Century Act, or FIT 21, in a bipartisan vote that drew a handful of Democratic supporters in spite of opposition from their ranking member on the committee, Republican Maxine Waters, Democrat from Florida. Not Republican, Representative Maxine Waters, Democrat of California. That bill is on a path towards becoming the first significant digital asset regulatory legislation to clear one of the chambers of Congress, now that it's been cleared for a vote next month by the House Rules Committee. According to McHenry, the bill, which had been approved by the House Ag Committee in the culmination of years of bipartisan efforts to finally provide clarity, said the North Carolina lawmaker who is retiring from Congress at the end of the year, and made crypto legislation one of his priorities on his way out. Very, very important. It's going to suck to see him leave. With the floor vote announced today, Congress will take a historic step to provide a clear regulatory framework for digital asset markets. McHenry said in a statement this legislation will cement American leadership of the global financial system for decades to come and bolster our role as an international hub for innovation. Folks, it's optimistic. It's got to get past the Senate. It's got to get past Biden as well, who I believe has already vowed to go ahead and veto this if it does get past the Senate. So why are we talking about it? Well, because there is a silver lining. There is a potential, right, that this could slow down, right, and get passed by the Senate, take a long time. And then by the time that if Trump gets elected, he could potentially pass it, right? The other concept is the language in this bill that is likely to get struck down, either in the Senate or by Biden himself. The language of the bill, the spirit of it, the spirit of regulatory clarity for crypto, which the industry has been crying out for, investors have been crying out for regulatory clarity so that Coinbase can operate, so that all the exchanges, all the cold wallets, everybody in crypto can operate in compliance with the United States government. Wouldn't that be nice? What a luxury that would be. All of that language could potentially be copied and pasted into a different bill, right? But essentially it would be the same once Trump gets elected. But the Republicans got to get the Senate and they got to get the House. Or Democrats could come to their senses on this issue and pass some legislation themselves that wouldn't be completely bass-ackwards, if you know what I mean. Bitcoin is in a bore-to-death phase, but bottom could be close, analysts say. And if we just took a look at that rainbow chart, I think that is kind of what we're in for, is a bore-to-death phase, but the bottom could be close. So the DCA strategy, very much in play. But there's also the chance, and this article is going to be more in depth on that headline, expanding on the headline. But there is a chance too that we get an early pop, right? We've had a very early pop, I will say. We got to all-time highs before the halving, right? So in my mind, my bias is that there's going to be probably a sag period, and that rainbow chart is going to be held up in the sense that before the major upswing of the bull market, where it seems like a big magnet is hanging up there at $1 million, pulling Bitcoin's price towards it, there is going to be a lot of 60,000, a lot of retapping of 60,000, and then going back up and touching 63, and bulls getting excited, and then coming back down and tapping 63, and we're going to 58, and we're going to 55, 50, 52. And bros, it's possible that we get back down to 52, maybe even as low as 48. Let me know if you agree with that in the chat, in the comments. But there's also a chance that we say, no, we aren't going that low. We're just going to keep tapping 60,000 or 58,000, and we're not really going to go as low as that. And bulls know that. And so bulls are sitting there with their DCA strategy saying, just going to keep buying at 58. That's really the level that you want to buy. There is a chance, though, that we buck that market psychology. A new buy thesis comes in, stronger or as strong as the Bitcoin ETF passing in the United States, and we do see a resumption to the upside in keeping with the 4-year cycle much earlier than what the rainbow chart would suggest. But Bitcoin is in a bore you to death phase, and that's why the investing pros are important, because we're earning our weight in gold here. We're earning our weight in Bitcoin, trying to keep it interesting, keep you an energized bull. The current period resembles the action from April through September of 2023, when Bitcoin was stuck in $25,000 to $30,000 range for an excruciating 6 months. Eventually, cryptocurrencies were able to sustain a multi-month rally, with Bitcoin ultimately hitting an all-time high in March of this year, 2024. Wasn't that a nice period? Yes, the euphoria was in. Nobody was bored, and it was a good time, except the bears. The bears might have been bored because they had to sit on the sidelines. Bitcoin is in the bore you to death phase, says Charles Edwards, founder of crypto hedge fund Caprol Investments, said in an X post on Thursday. When you are sufficiently bored from sideways chop, common symptoms will include thinking the halving is priced in, the bull market is over, and selling to buy stocks at the bottom. Edwards said your symptoms and shorts will peak just before the mega rally. That's true, because you'll be gaining confidence in the sideways movement, and then all of a sudden, all the skills, all the knowledge you've accumulated into the success of that will come back, and you'll probably lose everything because you'll get totally shellacked by the unrelenting bullish up and to the right movement of Bitcoin once it finally gets its mojo and a new buy thesis is in. So traders are showing weak buy the dip interest in Bitcoin's latest retrace, Sentiment said Friday, monitoring social media interactions. Generally, the crowd's lack of faith is a strong sign of prices being close to the bottom, right? So a lot to take in there, a lot to digest. But buyers, and you feel it, I feel it, buyers are exhausted, right? And the good news is that people's income probably isn't changing too much. The types of people who have disposable income and money that they can afford to lose by buying Bitcoin, potentially lose. They're not gonna lose it, but they could. In the same way, the same thoughts that you would apply to investing in the stock market or any market, right? Rather than just holding fiat. Although in the context of Bitcoin, it almost seems like the reverse. Holding dollars you can afford to lose. But buyers do seem exhausted. The good news is that people are getting paychecks and the DCAers are continuing to buy, right? And those faithful are going to be buying. But what you need to be prepared for is that we could have several months of boring action where exactly what I just said. We just come back and keep testing 58,000 and making a move higher, 58,000. And then we can move higher and then 58,000. Ooh, and then there's a FUD headline and we go down to 55, right? And then everybody's talking about 48. Maybe we do get it. I think that there's a chance we do get to 48 at some point, but it's going to take a story. It's going to take a headline, a big, scary boogie monster headline, whatever it's going to be. But this is what to expect, in my opinion, right? That's kind of what to expect for the next couple months. Bros, it has been an absolute pleasure to bring you all today's Saturday stream. Where's Tim? Didn't see anybody asking about Tim. People just don't care about him anymore. Just kidding. We love Tim. Tim is at a Mother's Day festival, a festival for mothers down in Florida, where I live, but he's not in Gainesville. And he's doing some cool stuff with them, and he's going to be having some fun. And he has a well-deserved break from the charts. So that's where Tim is. Natish Room, you've got those glasses. You're thinking you're so smart, but your mouse died, so you're an idiot. This is how I feel. And we will be in the Discord chatting more because while the chat is fun here, the chat never stops over in Discord. So make sure that you become a member and get access to the chat room in Discord, or head on over to Discord for free. And we also have some free Discord channels as well for just general chat. You can find the links for the Discord and becoming a member of the Bros right here in Join the Bros community. Become a member or access the free Investing Bros server on Discord. You can also follow myself and Tim at TShroom. And I don't know Tim's handle off the bat. Yes, I do. It's right here. Twitter links. Tim's Twitter is twitter.com/Tim_TA. So you can follow all of the Investing Bros and Crux of Crypto. He's in there as well. You should be able to find him on Twitter. Bros, it has been an absolute pleasure. Man, I felt like that conversation with Mark was actually really interesting. I learned a couple of new things. A lot of the stuff he said I'd already talked to him about in a meeting that I had with him as we were vetting Efani as a service. But a lot of that stuff you're probably hearing for the first time. If it scared you, take a big, deep breath, right? Do some more research. Consider whether or not you are a real target for this. And I would make the argument that if you're in crypto and any of that crypto is at all remotely accessible from your phone, meaning centralized wallets, Robinhood, anything like this, Coinbase, it might be an option worth looking into. That's Efani, and we do have the links for it down in the description. You get your second month of Efani service free. Bros, thank you so much for tuning in. If you're staying hydrated, then that must mean you're human. And if you're keeping a stop loss tight, that must mean that you're trading. We'll see you Monday, 9 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, where I'll go live and talk about what the heck happened over the weekend with crypto and see what kind of price movement, what kind of levels we may be in store for next week. Go love your mama. It is Mother's Day on the 12th. Don't forget about her. At least get her a card, get her a rose, take her somewhere nice for coffee. I'll be taking my mom somewhere. They have flan coffee. She loves flan flavored. Oh, now I just gave it away because my mom probably will watch this episode. Now she's going to know what flavor it is. I'm taking them off. I am so far from sophisticated. My mouse died, and now I just doxed my mom's trip and the flavor of the coffee that she was going to get. So I totally ruined that surprise. Adios, bros.
Trying to make paper, turn that better to cake. Money like Lego, connect the dots, stack bank. We are investing bros. We are investing bros. Army pipe, lethal on trade. Entries and exits, worthy of praise. Tim, the professor of the TA. Shout it out loud on the PA. T-Shrooms news, got the word. Doing better than what he deserves. Beamer, leave no evidence. Soon fly coop with his dividend. Trying to make paper, turn that better to cake. Money like Lego, connect the dots, stack bank. We are investing bros. We are investing bros.